All right, WrestleMania Night 2. Love the fact that we began with a hot crowd. Start off with the women's triple threat match. This was great. Whoever booked this one booked everyone to look like $1,000,000. Everyone was out nice and strong. Lots of finishers, lots of counters. Seeing Io constantly counter out of the Riptide, seeing counters out of the KOD, all of the dives, seeing like Io getting written out because she was the afterthought. She's a champion in this match. Her getting both of them down and doing a pointing to her head and the crowd popping. I was like, where was this crowd last night? This crowd is just hot. Just super hot crowd the majority of the night, except for when the crowd got cold, like stone cold. And then Io retains. I'm like, this match was brilliant. Whoever wrote this match up did a fantastic job. Everyone looked great in this. Seeing Io get locked in, going into the prism lock from Rhea, and then Rhea end up getting picked up to be put into a KOD. The finish having the KOD onto Ripley going for the pinfall. But this was after Io took like a reverse Alabama slam onto the turnbuckle, like the ring post, and then hitting the moonsault and getting the victory. I'm like, this was a fantastic match. Crowd was just hot. I'm like, this is what yesterday should have been. Jay defeating Gunther should have had that explosive energy from the crowd, and it wasn't there. This one had it. I'm like, awesome. It's great. What are we going to? Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre came down as the Doomslayer because this was the other thing that they have to do is constantly put promotional things in there. Damian Priest comes out in the ring with Slayer playing the guitar riff. Awesome. This was so good. And then they go into a street fight. And I was like, oh, good. This reminds me of the match we had last year where it was the Final Testament versus the Pride. And it was like, here's your plunder match. It's this blood feud that we kind of had to throw together and kind of just go, and they hate each other because of the backstory. But violent tables, chairs, ring steps, lots of ring step stuff. Love the finish for it, where Damien got his head in the turnbuckle next to his steel chair and got claymored into it. I'm like, oh, that looks vicious. Drew got a victory. Good match. Crowd was still into it. Crowd was still. I'm like, all right, 2 for 2. This is really good. The Fatal 4-Way. Wow. This was great. Again, played to everyone's strength. Penta got to hit, all the moves he needed to hit. You got to be like, well, are Dominic and Finn going to work together? Kind of. Only when to Finn's benefit, Dominic's benefit, they don't work together. All the times when Dominic kind of like, he's dirty, he's slimy, he's greasy, he's trying to do whatever he can to get the pinfall out of anywhere. Carlito getting involved, getting speared through one of the announce tables. I was like, this was great. Tons of back and forth. And then Dominic getting the pin on Finn to become the champion. I was like, this is great. Anybody could have won that match and made a good solid story. Having Dominic beat Finn, I'm like, ooh, this is, Judgment Day story, long term. I'm like, all right, this was good. It's a great match. I'm like, all right, we are 3 up, all of them really good. Crowd is still hot. Randy Orton comes down. Who's he going to take on? Say his name and he appears. Joe Hendry has WrestleMania merch. So the TNA heavyweight champion faced Randy Orton in a match that the crowd was super hot for, but you can tell they hadn't probably had a lot of time to work through what it is they wanted to do. So not the cleanest of matches, which was fine. We got to see the fall away slam, and then the kip up, and then Hendry did his turn, and then an RKO. And I was like, it's a great match, showcase for Hendry. Hendry looked a lot smaller than Orton, but he didn't look too out of place in the ring. And they have to do the whole, he wasn't expecting this match. He didn't have time to prepare for it. It's first time in this sort of environment. And then, Orton picked him up and is like, was doing the whole, like, yeah, this is guy and he's awesome. RKO'd him again. And then Orton stood there in the ring, did Joe Hendry's taunt, did the turn around into his taunt. I was like, it was good. Crowd was happy. Crowd still hot. I'm like, this was good. I'm like, they should have blended some of night 1 and night 2. Because night 2, the crowd is just hot for everything. They should have blended some of those things in with night 1 to give night 1 a better flow instead of, welcome to Night 1 Wrestle, meh, yeah. And then we go from that. There's Logan Paul, AJ Styles. Match was fine. I think most Logan Paul matches are technically proficient. He's gotten better from a psychological standpoint. But this is pretty much AJ Styles really kind of driving the narrative for this match. And then random Logan Paul friend comes down. Whoever that is, don't know, don't follow his stuff. Then Karrion Kross got involved. And then tried to give AJ the brass knuckles. AJ said no. So AJ was going to put him on and then just nail Kross with him and then get in the ring. But then since he got distracted during that little bit, we got to see the Impaler. Great looking move. Got the 3 count. Like, all right. AJ lost. Okay. If this gives us something that leads to Karrion Kross having a match in a feud, I'm okay with that. But it kind of took the crowd, super hot, and they kind of went, eh. Then we had Liv and Raquel taking on Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. Oh, sorry, Bayley got laid out. Who was going to be her mystery tag team partner? And I was like, had they not shown this person on the red carpet, might have been a better mystery. But then Becky Lynch came down. I love how it's Becky Lynch, runs on both of them. Tags out to Lyra. Lyra gets a little bit in. Lyra's still getting the heat on her. With that tag out to Becky. Loved the false finish of Becky, the Oblivion. Lyra making the save. The manhandle slam, 1, 2, 3. Lyra 2 belts. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. I like this. I dig this. Then I was like, oh man, that also means then that on Tuesday, Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria are going to take on Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. And I'm like, that's going to be a solid match. I'm like, all right, good. Crowd super hot. Then Austin came down to read the attendance record, and he drove his 4-wheeler into the barricade. And then I talked to the person on the other side of the barricade. He was like, I'm sorry, did you hit you my 4-wheeler? You cool? You cool? You want a beer? Not old enough for beer. I'll give you some signed merch. He talked to her, security's there. I'm like, okay, fine. And then we get to the main event match, where Cody Rhodes had dirt bikes to jump back and forth and to rev their engines. And then he came on in like an Iron Man skull helmet. I'm like, all right. Not as cool as like coming up from the ground with like the whole giant thing on, and Cena walked his way to the ring. I had reservations going into this match because you have 2 guys who have much more slower, methodical pace. And this was a slower, methodical match. Was Cena acting a little bit more heelish and doing a few more moves than normal. I'm like, okay. This match is just fine. First ref bump, I'm like, all right. Whose music going to hit? No one's. Second ref bump. All right. Whose music going to hit? Oh, it's Fiend or Ian. Wife goes, who is that? I'm like, you know who that is? She goes, no. I'm like, you know the theme song? She goes, yeah. You know what sings it? She goes, no. I'm like, that's who it is. She goes, oh. Then Travis Scott slowly saunters out of the ring, pulls the ref out. Then we can see Travis Scott take a horrible looking crossroads. Then John Cena had the title, and he was going to blast Cody Rhodes. And they did the really bad tug of war. None of these have ever looked good. 2 guys telling us, just mine. It's never looked good. If you want to have him do it, have the guy, run at him, do the duck, and have him drop the title. Just don't do the grab the faceplate and shake it back and forth. It just does not work well. Cody wrestles it away, and he's like, I'm going to hit you, John. He goes, don't hit me, Cody, be the better man. And then Cody's like, yeah, I will be. And then punt to the uprights. Belt shot. Ref gets in the ring, 1, 2, 3. And I was like, oh, It was flat. It was really flat. John Cena, 7-time world champion. Okay. Last year you had numerous run-ins. This time it was like, it's fine. And I was like, oh. Like the build-up, like, oh man, Cena turned heel, and it was just fine. You know, last year you had numerous run-ins. This year you didn't. And I was like, you know, the build-up felt disjointed. The match felt lackluster. So now we really hope that coming out of this, they do something amazing. Because if I would have spent, you know, like 2 years of college to go to this event, I would have been severely annoyed. And I'm like, okay, well, I think the additional like 2 weeks for Mania did not help the build at all. Think about where we're at Mania. Now I want you to have this be like the beginning of April, which means then that the last thing you would have had from the Jane Gunther build-up would have been Bloody Jimmy. That leads into it instead of having 2 more weeks of television to book through. I mean, it was fine. I mean, last year's Mania was amazing, and this year it was fine. You know, you had some hot matches on night 1, but most of night 1 was cold. And then you look at night 2. Night 2 began hot and ended on a downer. I was like, man, you could just reconfigure like some of the matches and make a fantastic card, but it just didn't happen this year. See where we go from here.